And we are live. Welcome back to our weekly stream where we, Carl and Joe, the Wix guys, talk about Wix. Who would have guessed, eh? And this week I am joined by.
Carl, again, same as every week. I don't know why you did that like it was going to be someone exciting. Yeah, sorry, guys. It's me again.
You're supposed to pump
yes,
people up, Carl.
woo, yeah, with Wits guys. Yeah, that's what it is. We've had a really crazy week. Again, I think I said it every week, but we had someone new join the team this week, and which has been great. And we have been busy building websites for people, which is the reason why we're here and able to talk about building websites for yourself and answer any questions you might have, is because we're pretty good at it. We've built over 500 websites, and that's between me and Joe personally. So we know our stuff about Wix. So if you have a Wix site, you might have a question you want to fire across to us in the chat, then we would love for you to ask us anything you wanted to ask, whether it's about business or about the Wix site and how we can do that, or about marketing in general. We have pretty wide range of knowledge around this sort of stuff. So happy to help you out with your business journey.
Yeah, and we go live every single Tuesday at 8 p.m. GMT to answer questions about Wix, to help you live as well. We can do live fixing potentially of people's websites, and to drop amazing knowledge bombs that is going to blow your mind about Wix. So what are we talking about today, Carl?
Well, I've got a few little topics to talk about. The first one is a bit of a lead on from last week. So to do like this is what happened last week. We talked about things
previously
on
the Wix
guys. We talked about things that how I can easily spot that you've made a Wix website yourself. That was one of the things we talked about last time. And I was talking just to one of our ladies that works for us the other day, and we were talking about ways of spotting that easily, and I came up with one that I forgot about, which actually not only is an easy way of spotting that someone is build it themselves potentially, but also is breaking the law. So really easy one to do. It's about privacy policies and cookie banners. GDPR has changed quite a lot in the last 5 years in terms of things that have come out. There was someone will be able to tell me when it came out, but I know the important stuff for us, and one of those things is that you have to have a privacy policy on your website, and you have to display a cookie banner as you go onto the site. So if I go on your website and I don't see one of those, then there is a slight issue in the thing, and you probably should go and set one of those up for yourself right now. That is a one that would, for me, be very important. And I think we're probably going to tomorrow share a video about how you can do it. So if you don't follow us already on our socials, then follow us so you can see how you can add your cookie banner. It has changed slightly in how Wix do it. The reason being is that the way that privacy policies work is they're constantly evolving and changing. The rules that are around that are changing. So they've actually moved away from using their own Wix developed system and now use a thing called Usercentrics. I think it's Usercentrics. Use an external cookie banner, which requires you actually to pay for it if you want to be able to customize and change things. So if you want to just have it on there, you can. It doesn't cost you anything, but it comes with their branding, which is a big bright blue. And obviously, if you've got a company like us, which is pink, if you don't have the old one that is still there at the moment as a legacy one, then you would need to change the new one, and you do have to pay. I think it's $14 a month, and that allows you to then get access to their new cookie banner, which is constantly up to date and make sure you're completely compliant. So if you haven't done that, go check it out. £14 a month to not go to prison. Pretty good, in my opinion. So I'd highly recommend it.
What a bargain.
Yeah.
We know how to give you the good tips here.
Oh, yeah.
We need a whole live stream about how to not go to prison.
I'm gonna spend a bit of time as well looking into some other options that are available on the market now that this change has happened. And if I come up with some, I'll have another topic to talk about in another live stream where I'll give you some options of other variations of that. There are plenty of them in the market. I'm going to look at the most cost effective compared to design heavy. So like you still have your own branding and things similar, which is a big part of why you have a Wix website, is that you can keep your brand on brand. So having a big blue mark on the bottom might not work out.
Very nice. How exciting. That will be dropping tomorrow. Make sure to follow whatever page you're watching on right now.
Yeah, so we've got the other thing I wanted to talk about was I guess maybe we could just talk a little bit more about the privacy policies. So privacy policy is a legal document. So it is an important thing that you should, and I will recommend you should go and get a solicitor to write it correctly for you to make sure you're completely compliant. There are lots of people that will go around that and use things like ChatGPT, and that obviously allows you and opens you up to the potential of things going wrong in the future. So it's up to you on how much you want to cover yourself. So talking to a local solicitor will be a great way of making sure that you're completely covered for that. And is always the recommended option to go for the route with the privacy policy. What I would normally do in terms of design ways of lining that up, I would have in the footer of the website, right at the bottom, I'd have just a link that says privacy policy that links you through to a page that just has it on there, that is hidden from the Google search potentially, or hidden from the main banner, at least at the top, so people don't randomly stumble across it, because it's not really important to anyone unless they're specifically looking for it. So yeah, if you're looking to design it into your page, just tuck it down the bottom somewhere, but it does have to legally be there, and it has to be big enough for someone to see it.
And you have to have it if you're going to do any kind of ads or anything like that. You have to have a privacy policy. So if you are looking to do Facebook ads, Google ads, even Bing ads, you need to have your privacy policy, and it needs to very clearly have your name on it and have all the boxes ticked, or it will either get denied or it will hamper the campaign and stop it working as well. And it's just the right thing to do, isn't it? To have to let people know how you're going to be using their data. We're going into a bit of a world now where the lines between what's okay and not okay with data is definitely muddied with AI. So do your part and let people know how you're going to use their data. And if you don't actually know how a website uses their data, then that's what solicitors and people like us can help you with.
Yeah, because lots of things that happen with cookies. And one of the things I was talking about earlier on with someone is actually, we say a lot of these things and people are like, what is that? A cookie, without making the obvious joke, is not a biscuit. It is a way of tracking you through the internet. So it can see what you've the most normal example of that is that if you put your password in somewhere and it saves it for the next time you go back, that is cookies using those information and caching your data to be able to look after it later on and find it later on. So that's when you clear your cache, which is your memory of your internet provider. As you clear that, you'll get rid of all of your cookies and all your things have to start again. And that's why when you go onto a website once, you accept it, the next time you go on, you probably won't have to, because it would have remembered you've accepted it last time. So it just remembers a bit of data about you. Generally, in most of the time, that makes life easier for us as internet users, but some people will want to make sure that their data and their stuff is kept to themselves, and that's why you give the ability to change and chop that.
Yeah, and that is why ads are able to very sustainably predict what it is that you want to see because of cookies. So if you go onto a website that is about men's shoes, there will be a cookie that then gets sent back to Facebook if it was from Facebook that you came, and then that will let Facebook know this person is looking for some men's shoes, and then all of a sudden you get loads of ads about men's shoes. So that is what cookies help us do.
We'll have that chat as well about when you think about something for 2 seconds and then you get the ads come up. Obviously, I know people say that all the time, but a lot of the time people don't think about the fact that maybe they've Googled something in the past 24 hours and looked for something, and then they will get something later on. So I always remember it was like at Christmas, you're looking at presents for someone and you think okay, I'm going to get my 15-year-old son or 15-year-old a new gaming chair, and you think about it, and you might search in the morning how much does a gaming chair cost, and you forget about it, and later on that night you're sitting at a dinner table being oh yeah, we should have to think about that gaming chair, and then you're like, oh, how does it know that I've found it? Quite a lot of the times actually you've made a search in the past, or there are loads of other things that Facebook has and things use as well to find that, but that generally is the reason why it's been found. There's loads of other extra reasons why it is. I'm pretty sure that it's not that Alexa is listening to you all the time and giving you updates.
So from a code point of view of Alexa, people haven't been able to find anything that says it is listening to you when it's tracking what you are saying. It's technically always listening, because it has to always be listening for you to say Alexa and it to know that you're talking to you. But there's no knowledge that whatever you're saying while you're not talking to it is being sent to a server somewhere. There was, I think they must have changed it now, but when the whole ordeal with TikTok being banned all over the place was going on, in there, when you downloaded the TikTok app, one of the things in the terms and conditions that you tick is that TikTok is always allowed to watch your keyboard, which is one of the ways that they were being able to extremely successfully give you the right ads was because even if you're typing in WhatsApp or Snapchat or anywhere else, TikTok were always listening, essentially. But I know they've gone through a hell of a lot of changes to make sure they didn't get banned in the US. So I imagine
that will be one.
Fingers crossed that they're not doing that anymore.
Yeah,
but stuff like that does happen because no one ever reads the terms and conditions. So
I think the other one that I always remember being a thing, I'm not sure if it still is or not, but if you downloaded Facebook Messenger onto your phone, part of the terms and conditions of that it could read your emails.
Yeah.
So it was like, so people were like, why am I getting all these things? It's like, because you've got an email from someone saying this, and then you've gone, even like someone's emailed you Christmas list and been like, oh, here's the things I want to get this year. And then they're like, well, how do you know this? It's because it's come through that. And there was a lot of stuff around WhatsApp. It's fully encrypted. So like, it's a bit of a gray area, whether or not they can read that and stuff. But anyway, that's way off of Wix. But yeah, a privacy policy would need to cover you for all those things, because you are then holding their data, holding their stuff. Needs to be a thing. But anyway, that's the rest of the boring stuff. Jesus Christ, privacy policies
on that.
Not the funnest things to talk about, but they are essential to not going to prison. So hey ho, need to have one. Important part of it. I had somebody ask me a question earlier on. I was talking to a potential client. They were talking to me about saying that Wix is all templates, right? And this is the thing I think sometimes we think about, like, oh, it's just a template and you just fill it in with your stuff. That's what Wix is, correct? I was like, yeah, no, it is that. Yeah, you're right. It does do templates. And that's exactly what you do if you didn't know how to use the platform. You would use a template to create something that looked professional, that gave you all the things you needed to have a great website, but without having to do any of the design elements. But that's such a small part of what Wix is. It's like the easy entry level bit, which gives you a run of the mill website, which everyone can have. It still looks smart for the average user, but is maybe not quite to your brand, but ticks the boxes. But Wix is a fully open system where you can drag and drop and create anything you want and have websites that look just as good as any of the other websites that are available in the market. So a really great space for you to come in and be really creative. You don't have to stick to a template. They are there for ease of use, and they also have wireframes in the back end as well, which you can use to create a wireframe. If you don't know what that is, it's just like the outlines of all and where the things should go in the website to make it work and make it sensible. So you could just replace the image sections with images and the text section with text and make it your own feel and look as you do that with those bits. But it gives you a nice intro into the system, and you come to someone like us, a designer, who would be able to help you to bring that to life into our system and bring your idea in your head to life that might be separated away from that template. So happy to help with those sort of things if you do it. We build websites for £750. We charge £375 when you start up, and the rest of it when you finish. And that means that you always leave with a website that you're proud and happy of. Happy with, which means that you're looked after, you get all the stuff. Make sure you don't go to jail by making sure the privacy policy is in there, making sure all the things we talked about last week when we were discussing things that you should do to ensure that you don't have anything that gives you a way of having a DIY website. That's where we step in and be able to make that happen. So we built some really beautiful websites I'm really proud to show and share. And if you wanted to know some of the work that we've done in the past, then all we ask is that you drop us a message and we'll reach out to you and show you some of the great stuff that we can do.
Yeah, and talking about the templates, I had a play yesterday with the AI builder they now have, and it was pretty horrendous. It wasn't good, but it was impressive, which sounds weird. But the final product that comes out of it, I wasn't, we wouldn't be proud of sending that to a client. But the fact that it does that in the first place, so it's just a chat bot that you just have a conversation with, and then it spits out a website. The fact that you can do that now, and to be fair, that could be quite a good foundation for a website. But you still would need to jump in and make changes and make it look good. But at some point, it might even get a little bit easier for those people that want to do it themselves, and maybe a template still doesn't quite work for them and they can get AI to do it. Not just yet, though. The ones that I made all looked horrendous. And I wouldn't suggest people go for that yet.
That's the perfect example. People always ask me, like, oh, how do you feel AI is going to affect your job? Like, do you think AI is going to take your job? Do you think it's going to be the thing? So I'm like, yeah, probably. but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I think there's always the human eye element because we're always going to be talking to humans. And I think it's done a great job of copy. It's getting better. I still think you'll get a better service from a copywriter if you wanted to get something super professional made. But if you needed something basic done, a lot of stuff would have cost you money in the past to get a basic presence there. Doesn't cost you that anymore. But at the same time, it still struggles with that design bit. It always will do. And I feel like the perfect example is that if you see an AI designed logo or an AI designed poster, they're always there's just something wrong. And it's that the classic, oh, there's an extra finger in the person's thing, but actually there's just something about it that gives it away. And I think that still works with the text as well. You'll see in the text that there's got M dashes and things. People talk about it on LinkedIn all the time, and it does my head in because it's a bit old content now, but it does very quickly give you a insight into that person has used AI. I don't mind about that, but there's lots of people that do mind about it. So making it talk like you takes the right prompts and the right opportunities to be able to do that. And if you wanted to create a great website, you would need to prompt it correctly, and we will use AI to make our jobs easier, but I don't think it'll ever take over AI hopefully not in our lifetime, but I can see it probably happening. Hopefully not in the time I'm retired in 5 years. That's the goal. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
And the other thing about AI, especially when it comes to websites, is people just won't know what the correct questions are. Like the amount of times we have a client come to us and it's just like, yeah, I want something classy that's going to pop. And it's like, well, what does that actually mean? If you say that to AI is just a yes man, and we'll just be like, yeah, sounds great. I'll make that for you. And then we'll spit something out. Whereas we can be like, okay, well, let's actually talk about what your business
you're a
values
funeral
are.
Director. Like you're a funeral director, mate. Like you don't need to be classy that pops. That's not what you want.
Have a man pop out of a coffin.
Yeah, that's not what we meant by pop out. Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right.
So even as AI gets better, you still need to have people that have the knowledge to put in the correct queries to get the correct result out. Because anyone that works in a service industry and works with people, which is pretty much everyone in a service industry, will know the type of, like, every industry will have a phrase like make it pop. Yeah. Make it, I want it professional but friendly. That's another one as well. Doesn't really mean anything. So you have to dig a bit deeper and find out what they actually mean.
Yeah, I think it's AI is going to be an interesting one. And I think you're right. That sort of ability to portray what you want is a big difficulty, and it happens a lot of times where people give them something they think they want. And I think this is a similar thing we talk about sort of sales in the past, and people coming and saying, I want a website that does everything and it's all singing, all dancing. And they're like, yeah, fine, that's $6,000. And I'm like, okay, well, as a small business owner, you probably didn't need all of that stuff. Like you really didn't need all that things to start you with. And that will grow with you, and it will get you to a point where you're able to, you probably won't have to change that website again for a long time. But at the same time, you will use all of your budget on the website and have this lovely, great singing and dancing website with no one to be able to go to it, which is a problem. So actually, you investing a little bit of money into a website, say £750, then you'd have a ability to spend that rest of that budget on marketing it and sending people to your site, which would mean that you actually turn that £750 or $6,000 into paying customers, which then pays itself back and also creates return custom, and that's actually what kicks your business off and starts it up. So sometimes you're told, if this is what you say, AI is a yes man is the exact answer, and sometimes salespeople are very similar. They will tell you yes or they'll tell you this is what you need because that's what they want to sell you, as opposed to this is what you need because this is what you need. And when we started the agency, I said it last week, I think, and I've now stuck with it, but we don't refer to ourselves as a web design agency anymore. We're a web design hand-holding agency, which means that we'll take you through the process, explain why you're doing what you're doing, and ensure that you get the right amount of stuff out of the other end. Because I think it's quite easy to get your pants pulled down in this industry. There's people often refer to cowboy builders in the construction industry. We have lots of cowboy builders in the web design industry too. And if you ever feel like you're maybe getting your pants pulled down, then just ask us. That's exactly what this forum is for. Does this sound right? Does this amount of money sound right? And I often will tell you, if you're spending $6,000 and the person has put together a really well built WordPress website with lots of functionality in it, then yeah, absolutely, that is right.
I think that's always the hard thing, is that like $10,000 for a website is definitely worth it in some cases. Yeah. But unfortunately, we're in an industry where a lot of the time people will say $3,000, $6,000, when actually it could have been done for $1,000.
I was at an event recently and someone was talking about they had e-commerce and they'd come and talk to me and I explained how it works. And I said, I think where you're at the moment with your budget that you're at, that actually a Wix website would get you started. You know, in a year, 2 years, once you've started moving it off the ground, you might be in a position where you need to upgrade that to a Shopify website. And, you know, as you grow and adapt. And I overheard them talking to another designer the other day and they were specialists in Shopify. And I could hear them going, oh, Wix, no, you don't want to use that. And I'm like, I get it. I understand why people say it, because he's a Shopify seller and he works with e-commerce brands. When I was talking to him, they were saying about he works with e-commerce brands that start at turning over £1 million and he grows them to £6 million. Great. She has $4,000. So like, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, she has $4,000. She has no clients. She's no thing. So she needs somebody that can. She needs something that could start her off, get her going, prove the concept, to make sure that if it does go wrong, which sometimes businesses do, that she doesn't end up losing her house. And this is the thing that annoys me, is people give advice around how they should grow and use their systems, but actually they give the wrong advice to somebody because they're thinking about them as if they're a multi-million-pound company, and actually they're a solopreneur who's just starting their journey, and they need to give them the right advice to the right person in their point of journey at the moment. And yeah, that annoyed me a little bit. And it's not because I had them go, oh yeah, but he's a Wix guy. Is that why he did Wix? And I was like, yeah, no, I understand that. Like, I understand why you might think that I was biased towards it, but actually I'm really biased towards supporting small businesses. That's my thing. And actually I shoot myself in the foot and pass sales away often because I don't think we're the right fit for someone. But I think a lot of the time, other people aren't as good gracious as that and will allow their pockets to be filled over giving the right advice. And that's what one of our values here at the Wix Guys is, that we look after people and treat them correctly and give them the right advice.
And that's why we create content for the people that do want to do it themselves, because we would rather say, like, actually we're not going to take your money. We suggest you give it a go because you've got the knowledge, you've got the skills, you've got the time, and that money is better spent somewhere else in your business, like getting more stock or getting this and getting that. So that's why we create the content that helps people. We've got a couple of videos up on our YouTube channel that is all around helping people build their own Wix websites. As Carl said, we've got privacy policy one coming out tomorrow as well. So yeah, we're good guys.
I think I talked to a couple the other day that are running a business. It was a really exciting business that was really growing and moving forwards, and they had this beautiful spa concept where they were doing lots of different parts. And the thing that we found out very quickly was that the geezer that was doing it absolutely knew his stuff. Like, this guy was really, really well read up on everything he needs to know. He'd built a site that looked beautiful, and he was like, "Oh, is there anything that you think we could do?" And I was like, "To be honest, mate, no. I think you've obviously spent your time learning this and getting to know it, and in doing so, you have created a website that I would be happy to put out at the end of one of our systems." So sometimes I talk to someone and I think, actually, you're in a much better position to be building this yourself. You don't have a particularly large budget, but you have got time and you have got the knowledge. So crack on, get stuck in.
Yes, money in all of marketing as a whole, because even if you just look at their core marketing services, you've got Google Ads and you've got SEO. And that's basically, Google Ads is I've got money and little time, and then SEO is I've got time but little money. And then it's the same over in the social media world as well, with social media ads and then social media content. So time versus money is something that everyone needs to evaluate and work out. Am I happy to spend time on this, or am I happy to spend money on this? Because usually most of them are on a scale one side or the other.
I sometimes think there's a third, maybe even a fourth option as well, which is knowledge. The knowledge is the other bit. So like if you have the knowledge and the time, then yeah, crack on, get stuck in. If you don't have the knowledge or the time, then you're probably going to need to, and you have got some money, you're going to need to get someone to come do it. If you've got the time and the money, then you can learn the knowledge and do the time. But it's a sort of a triangle of working it out. And I think when you get into a point in business where you're lucky enough that actually you can add a fourth point, which is enjoyment, but that is a luxury and not a given at the beginning. So you can say, do I enjoy doing this? No. Okay, well, I'm going to outsource it then. But I think realistically it's a triangle of things. And I think sometimes the other thing that's worth mentioning as well with knowledge is I don't have the knowledge, I do have the time and the money. Actually, what that might be then is actually hiring. You might be in a position where you could hire someone to come and do the job because you've got time to teach them and allow them to learn your systems and how you work, and then they will bring the knowledge with them and add that extra bit. So sometimes there's an extra part in there, which I think is sometimes not thought about, but is just as important when it comes to your growth and how you learn stuff.
Yeah, definitely. You just somehow accidentally, that's it, Ikigai. You were talking about Ikigai there as well, which is a completely different thing, unrelated, but it's how to find your purpose in life, Carl. You find what your strengths and skills are, what you love doing, what you can be paid for, and then what the world needs, like the four things. And then in the middle of that, like Venn diagram, is what you should do with your life, apparently, according to some Buddha somewhere.
I always think of the triangle. I'm a 6'9" man as what I can get from a shirt. It's either that it fits around the waist, if it's at the arms, or if it's around the collar. I can only ever have two of those three things. They never get all three. It's a miracle if you do. That's a triangle I have in my life.
There you go.
So if you had anything interesting come up this week that you wanted to talk about in terms of anything that clients have said to you that you think would be useful to share?
Well, I had the conversation today actually about price, but we've already sort of done that.
I thought something about that one guy today actually, where I was thinking about how someone had been completely tucked up by an agency and thought, oh my lord, and it was basically he was talking about how they didn't own the website. So this is a thing that happens sometimes in digital marketing. They will sell you a website. And it's normally if you're doing like a pay monthly deal with someone, but they'll sell you a website, but you don't actually own it. They just rent it to you. So when you go to leave them and you're like, do you know what, it's not working for me, they go, okay, that's fine, you can go, but we keep your website. And you lose your domain name, you lose your website, and it can be a big problem for lots of reasons, because you lose lots of data, which is really important for paid ads, but you also lose you maybe have the website down for a week or two while someone else is rebuilding it or whatever that looks like. So when you're signing up, you don't have to sign up with us. That's not what this is about. We obviously love you too, but if you are signing up with an agency, make sure that you own the website. It is your website, and once you finish with it, you get to keep it and you get to look after it. That is an important part of ensuring that you are. It's a really easy way to spot a cowboy, in my opinion. It's not always the way. I wouldn't say it's always the way, but there are some good agencies that do that, but there's a lot of bad ones that do that as well. And this was one of them, I think we can safely say.
Yeah. Should we name them?
No. It'd be funny though, wouldn't it?
Have you got their logo ready to just...
Yeah. Here they are. Yeah, no, so that was pretty impressive. And he was really looking forward to working with us and telling them to do one respectively. So not respectively at all, retrospectively, but not respectfully. And yeah, it happens a lot. It's not the first time we've had that conversation with someone, and it won't be the last. But something to check in with your agency when you sign up with them is to ensure that you're not getting a bum deal.
Yeah, because they were also charging for the domain monthly, 30 quid a month. They were charging for a domain, which just...
And they had 7 of those as well. So it's like £125 a month just for a domain that costs £10 a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, just in case people don't know, it usually costs £10 a year to get a domain, and they were charging them 30 quid a month. What a rip-off.
Yeah, absolutely right. So they were fuming, rightfully so fuming as well. Someone had been taken advantage of in the company that was slightly older and had lost had done it because that's what they needed to do, because that's what they did in their industry, and running ads was a part of their industry's norm now. So they decided they needed to move into that sphere, and just met the wrong person at the wrong time and ended up with that. So it happens.
Indeed. Cool. Should we call that a night?
I think so. Yeah. Then we've got any last minute questions because we love a last minute question. That means we have to stay a little bit longer. But if you've got one you want to answer in the chat, now is the time. While we're doing that, I'll do the outro. We'll talk about the 750 websites. If you have any questions you want to ask, now is your time. We might get a bit of time to jump in quickly. We've got a few people still watching, so that'd be great to see. My name is Carl. This is Joe. We're the Wix guys, and we build websites for £750. We do them really well. We're really good at it. So if you want to come and see some of the stuff we've done, send us an email or scan that QR code below, and we'd be happy to share you some of the websites that we've built, and you can see just the sort of quality that we can provide for you and your business. Thank you very much for joining us again on the slightly rainier Tuesday that it has been today.